Shalom. This is going to be a quick video. I just want to talk about the dietary law. First, I'm going to touch on Mark chapter 7. I do believe the complementary chapter on that is Matthew 15. Make sure. Yeah. So, the dietary law is in Leviticus chapter 11 and Deuteronomy chapter 14. It tells you what you can and cannot eat. Now, it is important to understand that the animals that are called unclean or are an abomination are not food, period. It's not food. You're not supposed to be eating it. So if you think pork is food, you have been deceived. If you think shrimp and shellfish is food, you have been deceived. If you think crustaceans, crab, and lobster is food, you have been deceived. If you think oysters, clams, and mussels are food, you have been deceived by the devil. Now, it's important to understand that Mark chapter 7 and Matthew chapter 15 is talking about eating with your hands dirty, unwashed hands. Like you coming in from working in the field or you was working on your car all day and then you just come in the house and eat your food. You're supposed to wash your hands. But if you don't, you're not going to die, is what Matthew chapter 15 and Mark 7 is talking about. Because washing hands became a religious belief, so to speak, because they made it a ritual. The oral law made it a ritual. And people started putting the oral law above the written law. So things was out of order. Now you got another point to understand is that during the time when the Messiah walked, there was no silverware. We didn't use silverware. We ate with our hands. Sure, there was probably utensils used to move the food from the main platter to your bowl, plate, or whatever. But we mostly ate with our hands, as all Eastern civilizations did. Eastern cultures did, because we are Eastern culture. Another thing to verify what I'm talking about is John chapter 2, verse 6. The large water pots that the Messiah used to turn into wine, they was filled with water for the ritual of washing hands. That's what those large water jars was there for. So, it's not really that hard of a concept to understand that the whole chapter is talking about washing hands, but then Christians twist it and make it seem like, because he said if you eat without washing your hands, your body will purge the dirt off of your hands and it will go into the sewer or the toilet or whatever, and it will purge what you eat. And it's another thing to consider when it says purging all meats. It's not just talking about animal flesh. Because in the beginning, Genesis says that Almighty Yahuwah gave every plant with seed for meat. So that's another aspect you need to consider when you're trying to come to an accurate knowledge of the truth. So would I address what? Mark 7, Matthew 15. Them is the two most popular verses and chapters that Christianity used to twist the truth about you can eat what you want. Another one is 1 Timothy 4. Let me try to get there. 1 Timothy 4. When it says, now the Spirit speaks expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, commanding to abstain from meats, the vegan movement, which Yahuwah has created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. That last sentence goes right over people's head. All they hear is, for every creature of God is good and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving. They completely overlook the part of verse 3 that says, Yahuwah has created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. If you know the truth is, you know the law is the truth, and the law says you can't eat pork, shrimp, crab, shellfish, crustaceans, clams, oysters, lobsters, all of that. That's not food. Them sea cleaners, river cleaners, catfish too. Catfish ain't got no scales. You ain't supposed to eat it. You wouldn't eat a algae eater. You wouldn't eat a mud sucker. Why you gonna eat a catfish? Another point that's on the side is tilapia. Technically, tilapia is a clean fish. You can eat it. It's originally from Africa and the Promised Land. But all the tilapia sold in America is farmed, unless it says it's imported. If it say farmed, it was raised on a farm, and it might have been imported from China from a farm. And if it's been imported from China on a farm, 9 times out of 10, they was raised on animal feces. You could look this up, man. You could Google it. You could go on YouTube and type tilapia is poop fish. I'm not just speaking conjecture. These are things that I've all researched. I just want to also add on a personal note, I had a cousin who recently passed from cancer, and he loved tilapia. It was his favorite fish because it don't got no bones. They got a soft texture. It's easy to cook. So that's about it. I hope this short video was edifying, and I might make other videos on this topic about the dietary law. With that being said, I know the truth, and I'm going to keep learning it for the rest of my life. Shalom.